Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to No Offense. We got 2 out of 3 of us here today. We're excited to sit down with you and have a very stern conversation about life, love, and liberty. How you doing?
Brother, it's been a hell of a week.
What you been up to, kid?
Life. Just
busy.
I don't know, man. You get to a point when you're creating this stuff where you hit a block.
What's wrong? Talk to me.
Oh, no, I'm fine. But I've realized, like we've talked about, that this is the point where people quit usually.
True.
Which I'm sure some fans have noticed that we've slowed down kind of inconsistency, which I admit to. I man up for that.
Me and you both?
Dom is in a delusion, but no.
Delusion?
Not delusion. It's just such a motherfucker to get guessed sometimes.
It's just, I think it really isn't. It's just how much time you put in. It's
Sure.
really all it is.
Sure.
There ain't no nothing about it. You just got to message people, get guests on, and fucking keep growing. It's really that simple.
No, but here's the thing though.
Time you put in is what changes.
Well, the thing with us is the quality of guests we've gotten.
Yeah.
We've gotten some really fucking good people on. Even interesting people. I think maybe just, YouTube's whatever doesn't hit, clips don't hit, but it's still a good conversation. I think all of our podcasts have been good with the guests we've had.
Yeah.
I don't think there's been one boring.
No, I think we've
not
had
one
great
boring
guests.
guest ever. I
We've
would
had
never
great
say. I
guests.
actually don't, and I would say that, and I would say their name.
Yeah, you would.
I would say their name, and so
Totally.
and then I'd send them the DM so they know.
Say, look at this, motherfucker.
Look at this, yes. No, but we've had all great guests. It's just the caliper to keep it going is but here's the thing though. You can have guests that no one knows. We've talked about this and just make it the most intriguing story they've ever
Totally.
what? But that's all comes down to editing, title, thumbnail, this, that. It's how do you bring these people in, which is, I think is a problem.
Well, I think also it comes down to podcasts in general. I think there's a lot of categories. A great example of that is the Sean Ryan show. You watch that guy ever? He's got a lot of military people on.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah? Yeah. Okay. So he has people on that are not really names, but he tells their story.
Mm-hmm.
And that you watch that to listen to people's story. There are podcasts like Joe Rogan, where you watch to entertain and also learn something sometimes about people that you see on the internet or TV or whatever. Then there are pure educational podcasts like Colin and Samir. Then there are pure entertainment like Full Send. I feel like the problem is we've come into a position where we have blended a majority of these things, which I believe makes our podcast extremely unique and why people like it. One day we've got this crazy criminal. The next day we've got this awesome business person. We're blending the two together. The problem is I feel like when we got on this strain of just con artist, which is cool and fun to good story, but then also comes down to what do we want to be and how do we want to be perceived? Because the Diary of a CEO has it dialed. That guy tells people stories. He has important people on, and he's still able to capture the audience the same way and tell the story the same way we did with con artists, but with entrepreneurs and now celebrities and big time people.
Just
we need to find our Diary of the CEO.
yes.
That's what we need to find. I think our lack has stemmed from just not knowing who we are. We have an identity issue right now.
We have an identity. But yeah, no, they do a great job at, I think there's a difference between having a very popular guest on and having a very interesting position on of what people do. For example, for the podcast, I'm going to start, and I'm trying to find guests right now, which I see your headaches with trying to find them, is I'm trying to think, okay, what in the guitar community, for example, what I'm doing is an interesting thing that no one has thought of, or that knowing that people are oh, I wonder how that works. In my case, there's this thing for guitars, amp simulation. It's a new thing, amp sims. And it's not, how they have amplifiers for guitars and each one's different. They make different sounds and such. With technology now, how good it is, they're simulating these. So you can just get a little stomp box or program on your computer and you have that exact same sound. And they're using AI and all these things and to make these softwares. So there's a really cool one called Neural DSP that's doing it really well. I want to get that guy on CEO. Okay, how the fuck do you start that?
Yeah.
What goes into making a software like this for guitar? How do you do this? Stuff like that. And what I was trying to get to is there's a difference between having a really popular guest on and just having a cool guy who has a really cool position or something he does and being able to explain it and show it to the audience. Oh, this is really fucking dope. You guys are going to want to know about this. It's all about how you advertise.
Great example too, a deal that we're going to have on. Guy's got a really interesting story, but you're not really focused on a deal. You're focused on the product that he built, right? He's got the very first affordable, best haptic feedback prosthetic arms and legs that you could have right now. That's badass. People should see that. People should hear about that. And on top of it, he's raised millions of dollars to make that vision a reality. That's cool. People need to learn about that. But then it's like, they like him, but they don't really like, it's not like you're doing the podcast for him. You're doing it for what he's built. And then people get to know him on the back burner, which is why podcasts are cool. Where sometimes I feel like we've tried to learn about people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, their story.
I'm getting tripped up on the words.
I know
like some
what you
people
mean.
don't give
I know
too
what
much
you
of a
mean.
fuck about the guy who just started a company. They care about the company he built.
Correct.
And I think sometimes when we have some of these people on that we've, some of these people that like maybe not everyone knows, we focus too much on who they are versus what they've done.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not as advertising. It's not as advertising friendly. No one really gives a shit. They're like, okay, that's great. Like,
I don't know the guy.
like even great thing, right? Sean Ryan had Luis Chaparro on the other day.
Yeah, I saw that.
Saw that. Didn't really ask him about himself. Wasn't really about how he got into journalism.
About his information.
It was about what did he get? How is the cartel operating? What's going on? Which some of those clips hit for us. We spent half of the time learning about how he got into journalism and where he lives and how he does this. Then the rest of the combo was awesome, which I think there is a blend of both. But I feel like people are starting to get so good at podcasting. Like it really is becoming it's TV now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people need to approach it like TV because we're coming in and we're just getting to know people. The research that we should be doing, the shit that we should be, I feel like we should be talking this offline, but I think people maybe are interested in this. We should be dialed so deep into what these people are. And then we should have a strategy for how we're going to launch this thing. How is it going to look? What are people going to care about? What are we going to pull out of this thing? What's the energy like, the tone like, the message like? These are important things that teams
Super
eventually
important.
do for you, but this is how you actually get to a next level podcast.
Correct.
All these people that you feel are just shooting the shit on a show, they've got writers, producers, guest appearance, talent managers. Like they've got a whole team behind them that's building the show. We need to do that as a 3-man crew.
And that's the difference between a podcast that takes off and a podcast that does not take off.
You're going to sit in your room for the rest of your life talking about the baseball game, or you're going to become like a next gen.
You either have to level up your podcast because you're competing with the only person that kind of disobeys this rule is Shane Gillis. His is in a fucking living room.
Well, he's also a comedian, so that makes sense.
Yes.
He's not going to have a Navy SEAL on and like be serious.
No. But it's just, I get what you're saying. Like, I lost my train of thought. What were we just talking about?
You were talking about how Shane Gillis disrupts that idea by doing it in his living room.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. The leveling up of the podcast. Like now, since podcasts are so popular, everyone has one. To stand out from the crowd, you do have to level up what you're doing production wise. You can't just have audio. You can't do that. Like who the fuck? There's very little people that have just an audio only successful podcast.
Yeah, no, it's video focused nowadays for sure.
Video focused. And that's the only way you can advertise it.
And not to mention like the content is so important now too. And you got to think about it, right? It's almost like nowadays, okay, when you really do think about it, not as many people are watching Letterman or the late night show. But when they were, it was like you're either SNL or you're on what was Spike TV. Right? It really, because like people might watch you and they might enjoy you, but like there's a level of attention and effort that it takes to become SNL or become the Letterman of that time, which nowadays is like, some of these big podcasts just do it so fucking well, but it does. It's a business. It's an entertainment company.
And like anything else, like a business, it takes time to really upgrade and know your business and know what you should be doing, know what you should be using, know what works, what doesn't work. A/B tests, like
Ebbs
this doesn't
and flows
work.
Too.
This works. Like what I was thinking is like, okay, the people online who talk shit, this is like 3 guys in a room talking about it. Yeah, that's great. We could just be 3 guys that we don't necessarily have an interesting story at all.
No.
But it's okay. What we can be really great at is figuring out what's great about other people's stories. Mm-hmm. That's why I feel like we need to be really good
become the best interviewers.
Become the best interviewers. And not even like, I don't like interviewer.
We're connecting
yes.
our guest with the audience.
We have a platform where we can tell somebody's story super, super well. That has to be done through production, through editing, through the clips we let out, through consistency, through all this. Like it's a number of things. And
see, that's fucking beautiful. That is amazing. I like that. That's what we're lacking. That's what we need.
Yes, for sure. And I think that through, it's just time spent, obviously, you got to work at it like anything else, but you'll get there, but you need to work at it. That's the base.
And then it ebbs and flows. And then you don't really know, like, you got to think about it too, bro. Look at Square Waves, for an example. When we started this thing, we were, for one, doing it part-time. We were doing like a little bit of apps, a little bit of social. We didn't really know what we were. We're in a company. We're just kind of 2 kids doing websites and shit. Then we become a full-time company. We're IT and we're social media. Doesn't even make sense. And And then we're back and forth on that. A year goes by. Now we're marketing. Another year goes by. We're marketing and creative. Another year goes by. We finally figured out who we are, what we're good at, the target audience, and now we're starting to make a shit ton of money. But that was a 3-year grind to even understand. And we're probably going to change in the next 3 years of who we are, what we do, and what we support. It's always evolving. But the problem is a lot of people give up in between that 1 and 3 year where they're like, I'm not seeing it. It's not great. We're doing okay.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we got 100,000 subs. Yeah, it's okay. But I don't know, like, how do we get to the million? I don't know. Like, am I really good at this? You start to self-doubt. You just got to stick through it and, like, always test it. And that's why, like, I know we always joke around about new sets and, like, new logos and shit, but that's the process I think that it really takes for us to understand who we are, what we're doing, who we're hitting. And it's okay to go through that journey because eventually the people that have been with us since day one are going to follow us through that journey.
They'll be like, hey, remember when they were in that little fucking
Remember when the little office in the green room? Yeah. Remember when they had the phones propped up on the side and they were on 2 couches? They'll see us come throughout this journey while we're trying to figure it out and then put on like a great show with people. And then our energy on the show. How are we doing better? Can we do a better job talking, communicating, presenting ourselves? Like, I feel like it's a craft.
Yeah, no.
People
100%.
don't realize it's hard. I mean, it seems easy to sit and talk, but like, fucking sit down and talk.
No.
Figure out how to make good and appealing content.
Like, the effort. YouTubers obviously do because it's the same thing,
job, yeah.
but they don't understand the part. You need to know how to. For a podcast, it's even worse because you need to know how to use a camera. You know how to do lighting. You need to be handy somewhat to fucking put shit together. You can't just, if you want to have a good set, if you're doing it yourself and you're limited on funds because, you're not a million subscriber podcast yet, you don't have money to spend. So you have to work with what you got, make the money, put it together. And then you have to know how to edit. You have to know how to do Photoshop. You have to know how to video edit. You have to know how to upload to, all these, the platforms. You have to know how to do social media. You need to know how to do this. There's so many different things you got to master to really take off. Yeah. There's so many things. And
then do it again and again.
And just like the dedication it takes to be able to have a video you think is the worst part is when you think a video is going to do well and it does dog shit. That is the worst. Like when our videos, like we still get videos that do shit all the time. Every week there's videos that do shit and there's ones that take off. It's just a slow grind of really big hit, views go up a little bit, drop. Really big hit, they're a little bit higher this time, drop a little bit. Another big hit. It's a constant grind. Not every episode's going to hit, but there's going to be an episode for everyone. Not every episode's for everyone, especially for a podcast like ours where we're still figuring it out. Yeah. Like, and
then there's going to be an episode that does like 20 million views and it's going to just put you on the map for a few minutes. And then that's your time to capitalize or die.
Yes, correct.
When you really think about it.
Correct.
A lot of those podcasts get like huge and all of a sudden like within a month, everyone forgets if they don't capitalize.
You have to momentum.
Which also, I had something for you, Andy. The fuck was I going to say?
Momentum.
No, it was more about like, it was more about the overall idea of podcasting and like as you get going and as you grow.
How the business expands to different things or being able to market a product, expand your product line.
No, fuck. It was something about the growth of this thing and like how we can, and what your opinion is on
something. We were talking about how a video hits big, drops, video hits big, drops. It'll come back to me. Yeah, no, but that's the grind of it. Is just being able to power through it, and especially in this business, it's probably harder than a regular. Dude, if we were doing a regular business with the amount of effort we put in, we would have had a fucking successful business.
God, yeah.
But this 100%. Is way more grueling because you have to. It takes longer. It's just like it just.
Well, also just like I think a different. We also have other shit going on. Not that it's a good excuse.
No.
But it's a legitimate thing. I mean. Another good example, like we didn't start growing our business until we started the company full time. You don't make money till you focus on something 100%. Like all these people, I think at a certain level, it makes sense, but all these people are like, run 7 companies. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Like they'll never grow a real company because they're doing 10 hours here, 10 hours there, 10 hours here. If we only reach out to 10 guests a week, we might get a few a quarter. If we spend every day focused on guests, production quality, storytelling, advertising, thumbnails, like you do that for 3 months, 40 hours a week, the 50, 60, 70 hours a week. Do you know how quickly we would get to that next level? It's hard because we're putting 10, 20 hours a week in here and there.
Yeah.
Edit a week, vacation, pop off, all something happens, work happens, life happens, whatever, pop back. It's a grind. It's obviously what everyone faces. It's not like a new problem that anyone's facing, but it is a real sting. Like if you had nothing to do Saturday to Saturday, but just focus on this, the amount of growth that you would see and the amount of money you'd make would literally double.
Yeah, I think the aspect of it is just being able to put aside, fun times. It's like with every business. So you gotta cut out going out. You can't be going out like that. If you really want to grow a business, you need to work the weekends.
Bro, yeah. I fucking gave up on I'm so glad I gave up on the going out.
Yeah, you haven't been out in a minute, but
not a lot. I mean, I still like to go out.
Everyone does, of course.
Everyone loves going out. Love getting to the bars.
Yeah, but it really, when you start realizing, okay, I went out all day today, I could have done this, and then the next day rolls over. Oh, fuck me. Now I'm tired from drinking.
The better feeling is not even thinking about it. If you just do it one day, you're like, fuck.
It's such an addictive feeling, but it's so weird how for some people, for me too, like when I get everything done, I feel so good that I got everything done. But then sometimes it doesn't roll over. Sometimes I'll have my days where I'm like, I want to do it, but I'm being a lazy prick.
Which happens. That's life. It evolves.
It's also a growing process. I think that the people say that you need to go monk mode, for 6 months.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, you can do monk mode for sure, but I think it takes a minute. Maybe it's just my character and how I am. It takes a minute for me to like adjust to just going straight in hardcore. Like I can do that for sure. And that's what it is going to take. But it's just like a slow evolve. Like you don't go out this weekend.
Yeah.
Maybe you go out the weekend after that. Then you don't go out for 2 weeks.
Which I also think
so on.
People put too many rules around stuff, bro. Like we've built a fairly successful business. We partied every fucking weekend for 3 years.
Yeah.
Had a great time. We worked our fucking asses off. We're making good money. We're growing a business. You still have fun. I think those people are also the people that wake up and spend 6 hours journaling and they don't actually build a business. Monk mode to them is just shying away from girls and partying and just to read a book inside.
Yeah.
All you have to do is just do the thing. Even the guy, who's the guy that interviews, he's got the buzz cut. You know what I'm talking about? He just interviewed Patrick Bet-David. He's a British guy.
Oh, fuck me.
You know who I'm talking about, though, right? You see him?
Yes, I know.
He had a quote. He was
Isn't
like,
that fucking, what the fuck is his name? I always say he's
Right?
sick.
What?
I always say he's in the really dark room always. Not Thurston, but the other guy, the British
Yeah, he's
guy.
another British guy.
British guy, yeah.
But he was talking about how like thinking about the thing is not doing the thing. Planning the thing is not doing the thing. Preparing to do the thing is not doing the thing. Doing the thing is the only thing that is doing the thing. And it's like a lot of people plan, sit, cold plunge, sauna. It's like you didn't work. You didn't do anything to be productive. Same thing with like just the pod. Like there are a lot of times, I think there is merit in strategizing because you also don't want to just wing it. I think another big problem too is sometimes you wing it. We wing it with guests. We wing it with who we are. I think there's a fine line between planning and then analysis paralysis.
Yes, true.
Type of thing. I think we actually do a really good job of that. Sometimes I think we wing it too much because we're just like, who gives a fuck about strategy? We just need to get an episode out. And then we kind of sit here and then we just chuck out an episode on like the research we do 30 minutes prior to the episode. And we're like, okay, this makes sense. We kind of have some facts. Let's spit one out. That's great. But I could imagine in my business, if I were to show up to a meeting and I call this guy one time, he's like, let's meet next Thursday. And I do a 2-minute search on his website prior to going into the meeting. I'm not going to be as prepared and I'm not going to perform as well. Whether if I took the day before and like did a little bit more research on the guy, which I think is just one thing that we're missing, honestly, with boys pods. I think it's just simple as that. I think
it's simple when it's just us. I think for guests, we always do prepare.
We do, which is good. And I think we could do even more than we do. But I think for boys pods, if we ever want to build something that's sticky that people want to come back to, we should assess what other people do. And then we should be like, all right, boys, we're doing an episode next Thursday. What should we talk about? What's prevalent? What segments should we do? And then let's actually like talk about it and agree on it and then shoot some ideas, get it down and dialed and then go in. Because not only will our energy be better, we're going to flow better. I think we're just going to feel more confident. I feel like sometimes we're kind of just like, what do I say next? What do I say next? What do I say next? And then also like we kind of go dead and we're like, I just think that there's little things like that that just make you better at your craft over time.
Yeah. It's also talking about stuff where you're educated into. Like sometimes like when we're talking about some stuff, I can add stuff to the conversation, but if we're talking about like certain parts of business, I'm not a huge business guy. Sure. I'm very interested in it, but I'm uneducated in it.
So that begs the question I'll ask you. So then here's the thing. When it comes down to who we are, we have 2 options on our boys pods and they can blend sometimes, but I feel like we can make a distinction. The first option is people come to our boys pods to get value and learn something, whether they're learning about business news, political news, whether they're learning about something in the creator market, or they're coming to this pod because they enjoy when we have guests on and they want to learn more about us. Mm-hmm. In which case we need to have like some stories about us, and also talking about like what's going on in our life. Like this right here, quite honestly, I'm enjoying this a lot.
I am too.
I feel like people are going to watch this and they're going to enjoy this because we're just having an open, honest discussion about like what's going on with the podcast, what's going on in our lives, what's happening. Then we have a big guest on and they're like, I like these guys. I fuck with these dudes. And now they have a really cool guy on. Like we need to do more on personals. And I think that's true because if people don't know us as much, they're not going to love the show as much because we're not always going to have a good guest on.
Yeah. I always say like the reason people watch certain people like basic example like Joe Rogan. I'm very interested in like, oh, Joe Rogan's gonna ask some certain types of questions I really want to hear.
Yeah,
like
totally.
Like that's like a majority of this conversation. I'm like, ooh, he had Elon Musk on. I want to see what the fuck like Joe Rogan's.
What do
gonna
you
ask
him? Yes, that's a good point. What are they gonna ask? Because you know how he is, and then you also know like think about it, right? This guy sits there and just talks to people. You know he's a bow hunter. You know he likes elk. Just because you've listened to the guy forever, you don't even know who this person is, but you know these intimate details about him that only a friend would know. So it makes you more inclined to want to listen to him. And then like you said, he's probably going to ask him some stupid shit about hunting. Like no one's ever going to ask Elon Musk about elk hunting. Joe Rogan might. I want to watch it and see what he says. Because you're right. It's a good fucking point. People care about like what questions you're going to ask somebody because they know the style that you ask.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. See? Fuck it. We should do these more often.
I know. This is like our strategy meetings.
I know. This is what we do. Literally, we'll just do video focused strategy meetings.
That's actually a good idea.
We can literally just do that. Yeah. Behind the pod.
Yeah. I think it gives a nice insight into what we're. It also it gets people connected to what we're doing. Like
yes,
people can see that what the fuck we're going through growing this. So which I think is kind of a cool aspect. Like I'd be interested in this personally because I also like podcasting obviously, so it's different. Some people might not, but I think this can apply to anything. Like I said, apply to any venture you do. It's a very similar process for this or any type of business, like plumbing business, this, that. It's basic ideas that are pretty prevalent everywhere.
Yeah, you have a dream to do something. You're starting from scratch. You're trying to make it a reality. There's a whole process that goes into that, which I think people would get inspo from that. Right. Behind the pod. Welcome to the new show.
Good name.
Behind
the pod.
I think we're on a good path. I think what we need to go back to is dedicated days.
Yeah.
When we stopped dedicated days
when
every Saturday.
Oh yeah.
Rain or shine, sleet or hail, guest or not, we were in the office at fucking 11 in the morning, noon, 1 o'clock every Saturday, dialed for 2 hours, did an episode, got it out the week after.
Yeah.
That's literally, and the only time we wavered is if a guest had a question or needed a waiver. When we broke that, we broke the stream of consistency. That is literally, if I could put our finger on one reason we are not consistent, is because of that. It was like a work day.
Yeah.
You worked Monday through Saturday and a couple hours on your Saturday. We didn't go out Friday night, or we went out a little less on Friday night. So we weren't hungover. We came in on Saturday. We ripped the pot out, rain, shine, sleet or hail, and fucking did it. And that I think is what, because then it also gave us time. Like that was our day. Remember when we sat in here the other fucking day and we just ripped it out? That was the last time we did that, bro. We used to do that every single Saturday.
True.
Every one day a week dedicated for 4 hours.
Whose fault is that, motherfucker?
That is my fault.
He's pointing at me like it's my fault.
No, I'm just saying like it's a revelation for me too. I'm sitting here like, holy shit.
You're like, I found my issue.
Honestly though,
I don't do anything. Any day I'll come in.
I'm always down for that.
Anything that keeps me away from editing because I fucking hate that.
Yeah.
I have to learn to love it though.
I think we guys get back to recording Saturdays at noon.
We should do that. We should.
And just be like, hey, and obviously if there's vacations and shit, like we do 2 episodes, or if there's something going on, or we know we just have to plan stuff because I think everyone's lives are getting busier as we grow up, right? Mm-hmm. Like we've girlfriends, dogs, jobs, life, just shit happens. So I think we need to be like a week out every single time. Mm-hmm. But I think if we know for a fact that for 9 out of 10 of the times we're in the office every Saturday doing a podcast again, I think we're going to feel it again.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's addictive.
It's hard for everyone to be on the same page and like be excited for it all the time if we're doing it randomly here and there. And then we're pulling them like at 7 a.m, boys, let's do a pod tonight. And then we're like, fuck. And then you got work all day. And then we got shit going on all day. And you're like, fucking heck. All right, let's do it.
Move them to Saturdays. I think that's a good move.
I think it's a good route to go. We should go back to it.
We should every Saturday.
Every Saturday, dial in on guests, fucking just pump.
And the good thing is like whenever we do that, it always turns to me and you staying, or the group staying a couple hours and planning out the next steps.
Planning out the next steps. We get excited.
It just happens.
And then we're like, oh, that was a good episode, boys. Here's what we could have done better. Here's what we could have done worse. We need to treat it like that was one of the, honestly, like when my dad even told me that when I first started with Square Waves, when I started the company, he was like, you need to treat it like a job. He's like, you're going to work longer than a job, but treat it like you have set hours, 9 to 5, like at the very minimum. Because then your brain just knows that no matter what, like, because it's very easy to become undisciplined when you start your own thing, which now obviously is not a problem. But I feel like it's almost a similar thing. Like we know for a fact, at least once a week for a few hours, we're dialed on this pod. It's like a job. We go in from noon to 3. It's just what we do. We do an episode, we edit, we do some reach outs, and then throughout the week, we're still going to work. But we know we have dedicated time.
Yes.
Which I think, we should just go back. Should we just put a message in the chat?
Yeah. Back to Saturdays.
Back to Saturdays.
That was a good one. That was good. That's a good idea.
I like these. We honestly should do these more.
Maybe we just had a fucking revelation of what our boys pods get the strategy. Yeah, I think
you literally we could just fucking tune in and talk about what's going on with the show. People just talk about what's going. Here's what we're trying to do. Here's the guests we're trying to get. Bro, you're right. You're right. That's so fucking, think about it. You're right. You got to think about it. Elon, Portnoy, all these people, they love the story of what's happening. That is the truth.
And the problem with us is that people don't know our story. So the guests, the fans that we're gaining through just, the listeners we're gaining every week can get a taste of us at least every once in a while when we don't have a guest.
Dude. Yes.
Yeah.
This is fucking what we should do.
Or even add it's not too hard to add a 30-minute or an extra podcast on a week.
No.
And that's easy to edit.
That's quick.
That could be purely just for viewers
who we love.
Maybe 2 or 3 clips, or maybe 2 clips. It doesn't have to be so it doesn't overwhelm me with fucking editing when we have actual guests coming on, but just enough for the actual viewers that come on and listen every week to get an idea of us to gain more.
Well, I'd actually even double you on that. Even though it didn't really work, it worked out for us tonight, but think about, I think most people listen to a podcast on the way to work or while they're working out, right? Average workout, average drives, 45 minutes to an hour. We could essentially do 2 30 to 45 minute episodes per Saturday. One of them maybe is with a guest for an hour, hour and a half. And then we do like a 30-minute bit on what's going on with the podcast after. And we have 2 episodes a week.
Yes, we could do that.
And it takes us 2 hours to do it.
We should figure that out a little bit sooner. But yes, I agree.
We should have.
Yeah, I said this is good that we figured it out now.
Yeah. But that's the evolution, right?
Yeah.
Fucking that's something we should do and just put a little bit more time in. That's all it is. Because if we do an extra 30 minutes, because honestly, I like the 30-minute vibe. I like the 30-minute vibe because I think it gives us talking. But we could talk about this for hours. That's the beauty of it. But at least it keeps people, like you were saying, who want to watch the show and learn about us, they can learn about us. And then we could also have them with the guest. Twice a week would be good, do you think? Like Mondays and Thursdays or some shit?
Well, even
or do you still do one a week?
We'll do a Saturday. We could rip a fucking boys pod before to warm up, talk about us, so we're not worn out, and then go into the guest. Because usually after a guest, we're tired as fuck.
Yeah,
it's like an hour and a half of talking.
Yeah.
Of in listening, you have to focus. Yeah. This we could spew all day, and I can half listen.
True. I can half listen.
No, because we know each other. We know each other.
True.
To learn about somebody else and learn their story as they're speaking, you have to focus, which takes brain power. It takes that takes fucking.
And then sometimes we want to go to lunch with them. We want to get drinks with them or something. So that's another problem too.
Yeah.
We don't want to be like, oh, we can't. We got to do a boys pod.
Yeah.
That's a good
exactly.
point. So come in 30 boys pod guest.
Yeah.
So then ideally you'd pop into a week out. People get to learn about us and they get to see the guest. Fucking brilliant.
Double the output.
Andrew. Double the output, double the followers, double the results.
Yes, correct.
We're doing more of these. I actually fucking love this. Well,
I hope you guys enjoyed your first one.
Hope you enjoyed the first boys pod. Unfortunately, Ray couldn't join us. He's got a dog, so it's been tough lately, but he'll be on the next one. So thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate it, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you guys.